Welcome to American Christian or Christian American. I'm Sean Legacy and I'm your host. Today we're going to be doing something different, but before we do that, if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to push that subscribe button. And also, if you like this video, push the like button. Today and for the next two episodes, I'm going to be talking with R.T. Watkins. Welcome.
Thank you.
And so we're going to be doing an interview with him, and we'll be talking about his experience and the different things that has happened in his life. And so we'll look at the questions. So today will be the first one, and we'll have two more after that. All right. So we're going to start. Mr. Watkins, can you tell us about your background?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on your podcast. I consider it an honor. So I'm glad to be here, and thank you for having me. So just a little bit about my background. Currently, I'm an associate minister of Christ Church for our community. Also, currently, I am a alcoholic beverage control agent for a small city in Kentucky. Prior to that, I was the chief of the Louisville Metro Alcoholic Beverage Control for 28 years. But in between Louisville, before Louisville, I was a Dallas police officer, and in between Dallas and Louisville, I was a Christian artist, a national artist on a Benson Music label, and traveled around the world singing praises for the Lord, and did that for a while. So currently, right now, but I'm off the road now and back in town and doing church ministry and things like that.
Okay. So you're semi-retired.
Semi-retired, yes.
Yes. All right. So you've been a police officer in two different states. Is there racism in law enforcement?
So, because racism has been so woven into the very fabric of America, I believe it's in everything, law enforcement included. And I've heard you speak about, slave patrols were an early form of American policing, and during the movement. So behavior and activities of enslaved Americans were controlled by these slave patrols. So to prevent uprisings, to prevent the system from falling, there was a system designed, and that system is still doing what it's supposed to do.
So you say it's well organized.
It is well organized, yes. Okay. Yes, sir. Well organized. The institution of slavery and when you design a system to do a certain thing, it was done well, and it continues to do what it was designed to do. So, and that was control and oppress and do things like that. So the system's still working. It looks different now, but it's still working, and it won't stop doing what it was designed to do until there's a new system. And one of the reasons I wanted to be a police officer was I wanted to show a different way of policing to people. And I believe I've done that, but the system is still intact.
So what keeps the system intact, do you think?
Well, like I said, it won't change until there's a new system. So it's going to stay intact until there's a new system.
Okay.
So if we don't tear this thing down, redo it, new system, it's going to keep doing what it was designed to do.
So what's preventing a new system from being in place?
Well, I think the people in charge are comfortable with the old system, because to bring in a new system, it wouldn't it wouldn't hurt them, but it would make things equal.
Equal, yeah.
And equal to people who are oppressing people, that's a negative thing to them. That's like you're taking something from them, or you're on the high pedestal, but now you got to come down even. And when you're used to being on top all the time, it's hard to
Right.
come back.
So really, the system still has the same agenda. It's just altered its way of going about it.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. So slavery is illegal, they say, in the Constitution, except for the exception. And do you think the exception is very effectively used?
No.
With prisons, do you think they effectively
it's
use
working. Yes, it is
you know.
working to do what it was designed, because the prison system and even other, even some things with the music industry and things like that, I think is a form of oppression and continuing to perpetuate negative things, negative stereotypes and things like that. So the prison is doing what it was designed to do.
So let me ask you this in your experience, and if you can't talk about it, that's fine. With your experience in the police force, were there procedures and ways that they did things that directed the police force to go down a certain channel, or the training that they put out? If you can't talk about something, then that's fine.
There are some things that I've observed over the years in training, and there's some things that have been changed in the training, and changed for the better. They've made great changes in our city, but but going back to the system, you can make hands. You're gonna have racism and things creeping in. I was at a training on one occasion where they were showing officers videos of officers being attacked on traffic stops. Well, every suspect on the films were black. And I was like, I felt that was a disservice to the officers, because what you're doing is you're subconsciously putting a message in that you'll be attacked by somebody black. But when you look at the statistics, the leading people who are killing officers are not black. So you get officers taking their guard down for certain people and having the guard way up for certain people. And I pointed it out at the training. I mean, I don't know if they paid attention to it, but I pointed it out, and we see. But that's I'm looking at those things when I'm in trainings, and I'm paying attention to those things. So yeah, the system still has to change.
Well, you could say too that a lot of the people there aren't paying attention, but even though they're not paying attention, it's like subliminal recordings. It's like it goes into their mind. You can say they're not paying attention. Oh, I didn't notice that, but really in their mind, just like when they throw something up in a movie saying eat popcorn, and it happens with that little second,
Yeah.
it goes into the subconscious and affects their decisions.
Right, definitely.
So what about the idea of black officers? Does that always help the situation? Or is there sometimes even black officers get caught up into the system?
No, black officers can get caught up into the system, just like anybody else with the power and control. If you're not careful, that's why everybody shouldn't be a police officer. If you don't love people, if you don't care about people, you shouldn't be a police officer. I don't care how many muscles you have, or how big you are, or how well you can shoot a gun. If you cannot get along with people and communicate and be able to de-escalate, you probably shouldn't be an officer. So, I think requirements or need to be a little tighter on who becomes a police officer in this country.
But with the system, like you said, historically, going back to the slave patrol, it was about power over people.
Yeah.
In fact, it was about Caucasians having an ego because they were poor and everything else, and they started to get elevated. And even though they weren't paid very much, they were said that they were better than these black people here. And so there was really an ego involved. And that ego has carried down in many ways, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Who was it? I can't think of his name. He was a president. I can't think of it. Where he said that if you can convince the lowest white man that he's better.
That was Lyndon B. Johnson.
Lyndon B. Johnson. Yeah, and that holds true. If you can convince the lowest black man that, or the lowest white man that he's better than the highest black man, then he'll empty his pockets for you, and and give you whatever you want.
So I mean, if you can't, I'm kind of throwing some side trips on this here, but who do you have to address in order to make changes? I mean, it may not be just one person, but I'm saying what areas, who do you have to convince to make changes in this?
Yeah, the changes got to come from the top and those in control. Well, not they should come from there, but people have to change. People have to stand up. People have to vote. People have to. Some of the reasons that some of these people didn't win in the elections, people didn't vote. There were people there to vote. They just didn't vote. Got to vote. You got to get involved. You got to know your history, know what's happening.
Right. Now, I've talked about before, too, that the fact that there are many things that go in there to make it harder to vote, that interfere with votes and stuff like that. But if people were to come out in droves, even with those things in place, they wouldn't be enough to stop it. So really, even though they do those things, it really wouldn't stop a very charged electorate that would get out there. You agree with that?
Right. I agree.
So the biggest problem I've said is that people are being discouraged to vote. So they do things to make it harder, but then they discourage them, and that's how they win. And so really, when people don't vote, they're allowing people to do whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah. I was watching Roland Martin's show, and he pointed out the reason that Tallarico beat Jazz strategy to get people to vote. They were sending out messages to people and sending out people saying, hey, at this spot, you got to have your ID. Or, because during the primaries, you could do early voting anywhere. But on the main day, you had to go to your spot, your assigned location. And everybody didn't know that. So when they tried to go anywhere, now you got to go to your other place on the other side of town. So he felt that Jasmine Crockett didn't do a good job of getting that information out to her people. And, for little reasons like that and several other reasons like that, she fell short. Nothing again. His campaign just sounds like it was better run.
Here's another off-the-cuff question I have for you, though. Isn't it the same old thing that has happened along? The same people who talk about democracy being, the biggest thing in America have done everything they can to discourage the democratic process. It seems to me that the people who have promoted slavery, the people who promoted Jim Crow and all these things, they believe in democracy only if they can make sure who is voting.
Yeah, till it fits their need, If it's addressing whatever they want, fine. But if it's not going with that status quo and that system that keeps people down, you know, they're not for it.
All right. Well, thank you for this first episode. We'll get to the next episode and we'll continue this conversation.
Okay.
So I hope everybody will tune in for the next episode. And it's important probably to watch them in series so you understand Mr. Watkins' background, and this will continue to flow. Thanks again for joining us for American Christian and Christian American.